You need to tell me and the people, how on earth did this movie become one of your childhood favorites?
HBO.
C.D. Bales had a small problem.
They said it was big, but I didn't expect it to be big.
Come on inside, I'll get some tools.
I don't have any clothes on. Maybe you'd like some wine with your nose.
Look, she wants somebody who looks like me and talks like you. That's good, that's okay. But wants you worse to know that there's a possible 502 on Main.
Get out!
Get in!
No, get out!
Get
Why
in!
don't you just get that nose job?
I did.
Roxanne.
Eric.
Hello, Tig.
So you watched the 1987 romantic comedy starring Daryl Hannah and Steve Martin, Roxanne.
I did watch that. It has nothing to do with the police song. So yeah, I guess this movie starred the world famous and highly acclaimed banjo player, Steve Martin, who also had a minor career as a stand-up comedian and comedic actor before he became a great banjo player. So yeah, it's a charming little movie.
I understand it's a romantic comedy, but to me as a kid when I watched it, I used to blank out all the stuff that was going on between the poetry and
that's
sounds ridiculous.
80 or 90% of the movie. How could you blank that out?
most of the things I remember are the firefighters doing stupid things and the bar scenes and things like that.
Well, that's actually all the stuff that I liked the least.
Really?
Yes, because those were the portions of the picture where it kind of got a little off the rails and forgot what it was trying to be. It can be a little uneven in that regard because, yes, it's a romantic comedy, but romantic comedies aren't necessarily wacky and zany and, Steve Martin, we are two wild and crazy guys. That's not what they tend to be, and that's not what this picture mostly is, but occasionally it is. Like every now and again, like with the firefighters in particular, and some stuff like that, such as Steve Martin doing parkour.
So this is a retelling of the 1897 verse play, what is it, Cyrano de Bergerac. So I'm curious how close it is to that. Like I'm curious if that character was really athletic and also really could beat up everybody in town if he wanted to.
It was kind of interesting that they made Martin's character almost sort of Mary Sue-ish in that, he was the smartest guy in town and the toughest guy in town and the funniest guy in town and the most charming guy in town. And if it wasn't for this one flaw, which is that a gigantic nose, which I can somewhat relate to, then he would be basically, king shit. And of course, he carries around insecurity because of that. And all his firefighters are sort of frightened of him because, they're frightened of bringing up the subject because of that, because he gets angry about it. And
Oh, you finally got a sense of humor about your nose, huh?
I liked when they were exploring that part of his character, how it makes life difficult for him. And then, of course, occasionally it goes into zany hijinks.
I'm not a huge Steve Martin fan. I'm not a big fan of his insanity. But I like Steve Martin when he's turned down to like 5.
And we're on the same page there. Actually, I really liked that about this movie. I have a great deal of respect for Steve Martin. If you actually sort of look into a little bit about his work ethic and his background and so on, he's one of the hardest working guys ever to work in comedy, period. I have a lot of respect for that. Like he's a really smart guy. When he created Steve Martin as a personality, it was a choice that he made. But I'm with you. I'm not actually a fan of it. I respect it, but I'm not a fan of it. So I liked the Steve Martin turned down here as well.
Yeah, the characters and that surround him, and then Shelley Duvall and obviously Daryl Hannah.
An early appearance by Damon Wayans.
Yeah, which is real weird, and Fred Willard.
Drinking a beer. Teach her to drink a beer.
There was a young Kevin Nealon in there. One of the things I actually had a little bit of difficulty not getting through, but with is that, all right, so this came during a time when I felt like they were trying to make Daryl Hannah the next big thing. And she was in tons of stuff, Blade Runner in 82 and Splash in 84. Oh, The Clan of the Cave Bear the year before this. And she'd be in Wall Street the very same year, and Steel Magnolias 2 years later. I mean, I guess she really was a pretty big star at the time, but I never understood. And even after watching this, I still don't understand kind of what the appeal there is. There's nothing wrong with her performance. It's a fine performance. She's good in the role. Actually, she was pretty charming in this role. I'll say that. She was a likable character until she fell head over heels for the knucklehead, because it just didn't click with me. Like, wait a minute, this thoughtful, smart woman who was really charmed by Steve Martin's character and all that, and yet you're just totally taken in by this lunkhead and can't tell that he's a lunkhead. What's that all about?
First, Steve Martin starts writing those letters, and for whatever reason, she believes, sure, it's from him. But then that night, that event where he's talking for him and he convinces her to go to bed with him.
I want to make love to you.
Shut up, Chris!
What?
I could not buy the idea that she couldn't see through this ruse, that she couldn't actually see that, no, this guy's just kind of a dope. Like, well, I guess he said this, lovely poetry to me from out in the bushes, but then he gets in the house and what? Did they just like...
They didn't talk.
Grunt? They just grunt the rest of the time? They just went right to it?
That's what you're supposed to assume, right? Because I think he says the next day when Steve Martin runs into him, he made sure not to talk or anything.
Yeah, and he also makes the comment because he wants to get at him, like, well, did you or did you not do it? And
yeah, he's like, I couldn't do it a third time.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it a third time.
And that guy's whole character, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm not the best of judges here, so maybe I'm wrong, but he was supposed to be this handsome, hunky guy, and he sort of looks like a meathead to me. So I want to hear from our female viewers on this. Is that actor a handsome actor? And even like take it in the 80s context. Like, is he a handsome actor? Because I just couldn't, I feel like you can generally recognize if a man is handsome or not. And I didn't say it.
It's the same thing with Daryl Hannah. She's not any more attractive than the bartender.
No.
It's a pretty small town, so they're just both fresh meat.
Don't look now, but the Viking just came in. Don't look.
Oh God, it's him.
All right.
Yeah, okay, all right. I can appreciate it from that point of view. That does make sense. As someone who grew up in a small town, I mean, that was always the case.
Right.
Those sort of complaints aside, there is a lot to like, not in like a this is a brilliant movie kind of way, but just in this is a charming bit of entertainment kind of way. Steve Martin in particular. Once you get past that first scene when you have to swallow the idea that he actually has a nose, like they really went overboard with the nose thing. But once you kind of get past that, which I guess all the characters have to get past it too. He's a really likable character. Fun watching him do his thing. The bar scene is terrific.
I used to try to memorize that when I was a kid. I think I watched that scene in particular so many times because it's just such a funny, well done scene.
Hey, where you going, big nose? Pardon me? You heard me. Big nose.
God, what a waste of an opportunity.
What?
Well, I mean, you've got someone standing in front of you with this, and all you can think up is big nose.
I suppose you could think of something better.
Yeah, I think I could think up something better. Come here.
All his interactions with the fire department guys were a lot of fun.
Take the truck!
I liked that he kind of had a strut around town. It didn't really go to his head or anything. He just was the most capable guy in town.
These things work. I think it's a fantastic idea. Do you like it? I do. I love it. I think it's great.
And they do make it a point to delve into that a little bit here and there. There's a couple of scenes where you could see that this really does eat him up inside. There's a scene when he goes into the pharmacy to get makeup. He goes to talk to the plastic surgeon about getting a nose job, and the plastic surgeon says something that is never brought up again in the entire movie, but I think it's kind of interesting that it's there. He can't get plastic surgery because he's allergic to the anesthesia. But the fact that it's there suggests that he really does want to get this plastic surgery. He really does want to get it rectified. It really is eating him up inside.
Oh, yeah.
He's got this issue, but he literally can't.
And then he's doing those nose cards.
Hello, darling. Haven't seen you in a while.
I remember watching this a lot when I was a kid, and I always thought that the dumb guy was such a jerk.
Yeah, well, he totally is a jerk.
But is he a jerk? Because I watched it again. I watched it last night. Now watching it, I feel like they're both wrong for what they were doing. They're both wrong.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So-
Yeah, I agree. He's not a jerk for not being able to talk to Daryl Hannah's character or any of that stuff. He's not a jerk for pursuing her. He's not a jerk for using CB's help to pursue her. I mean, it certainly is very sort of juvenile and teenagers, oh, write the letter for me and stuff like that. But that's also part of his character. That very much comes across, that he's still kind of a little boy inside.
Right.
He's a jerk because he went through all this trouble to get her to fall in love with him. And he endorsed all these ideas of like, we are madly in love, we're deeply in love, and all that. And then the moment he talks to this other cute young woman, he's just like, I'm out. It's okay that he found somebody else. That doesn't make him a jerk. What makes him a jerk is he manipulated her and then left her high and dry.
Yeah, I agree with you, because actually when he's leaving with the bartender, he's like, oh, I'll call her or whatever, or I'll tell her. And she's like, you can't do that. He's like, oh, I'll write her a letter.
Look, you got any paper? I could write her.
And
Yeah.
then he writes that terrible letter to her saying he broke up. So yeah, he's a jerk for that. He's definitely a jerk
Yeah.
for doing that.
I mean, if anything, throughout the movie, CB is a bigger jerk than he is.
Right.
Because he knows what's going on, and he knows that Daryl Hannah's character is being lied to. And he's actually the one who's actively manipulating her more than anyone else. So he's funneling his feelings through the lunkhead character, which is a little bit cowardly, but we understand why. We understand he's, that deep security that he has. But he allows it to go to the lengths that it does, to the point where she's falling in love with the other guy. And he knows he's not a dumb guy. He knows it's inevitable that her heart will be broken by this. He knows that's what's going to happen.
Right.
So the fact that he not only allowed it to keep going, but exacerbated it, he made it even worse.
I always thought it was weird that after he does all that and then they meet back up again, he doesn't realize that Charlie was writing basically 2 or 3 letters a day for 2 weeks while she was gone. He has to tell the lunkhead. So there's that whole scene where he's like doing the acrobats to get in the house, and he's trying to tell him, he's ringing the doorbell, and they're missing each other. Even at that point, why are you still helping this dude?
Yeah, at that point, bail out. Just bail out.
I can't wrap my brain around why he's doing it. If they were really good friends, it would be different. Even though he knows he's doing something wrong, he's trying to help a friend out.
Right.
But that's not it at all. They're not best friends in any capacity at all.
No, he literally just met him the day or so that this whole thing began.
Yeah, so that part just always bothered me, that he kept helping afterward.
He was kind of using that situation as an outlet for him to pour out his actual real feeling. That's initially kind of warm and charming in the scene in the bushes when he's talking to her from down below. And she doesn't realize that it's him, and he's just sort of speaking his heart. Right there, like, that's kind of a nice scene, and it's a classic romantic comedy scene.
What are you talking about? It's too much.
Go on.
It's working. Go on, go on.
Yeah, when he continues it with the letter writing, then it's like, oh, all right, now you're just being this combination of manipulative and deceitful and a little cowardly. Yeah, that struck me as a little wrong. And like you said, like, why didn't you just stop?
Literally to the point where the only reason he gets caught is because his best friend rats him out. So it's not even like he doesn't even just say, hey, look, I did this terrible thing. It literally comes to the point where Daryl Hannah punches him in the face because she realizes what he did.
You best! Ow! How could you do that to me? How could you trick me like that?
I wasn't trying to trick you. I was trying to make you feel
play
good.
with me. You're playing with my emotions.
I wasn't playing with you. You could have figured it out.
One, you don't watch this sort of picture to dive into that sort of thing. And then two, romantic comedies always tend to have some slightly sketchy elements, especially of 80s romantic comedies, where there's always some elements that when you look at them a little close, you're like, I'm not so sure about
Yeah, a little
that.
bit skeezy.
But thankfully, again, Steve Martin is really likable here.
Yeah.
Much more so to me than his zany, wild comedy tends to be. Now, I haven't seen a lot of Daryl Hannah movies, so I mean, I can't say this with any like firm knowledge, but this is easily the most likable that she's ever been in any movie for me. The supporting cast is really, really uneven. Like the sleazy guy, I know you're supposed to hate his character, but usually characters that you're supposed to hate, you're also supposed to be able to tolerate on screen.
Hi.
Hi.
Remember me?
Trying to put it behind me.
I've seen him in a bunch of other things too. What do I know him from? So he was the janitor in The Breakfast Club.
You guys think I'm just some untouchable peasant, serf, peon,
He played Dino in Weird Science.
She's into malakas, Dino.
He's the dude in the bar. He's like, you like maracas? And he's like, I love.
Oh, okay, there you go. All right, yeah. And then the guy who played Rick, I mean, I feel bad for insulting the guy.
Do you think he did a good job at the part though? Because he has to play a meathead moron, and I kind of felt like when I watched it this past time, he did a good job playing that part. Like he.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Totally. Like as an actor, yes, absolutely. Because it wasn't even that he had to play sort of a lunkhead. It was that he had to play an aw shucks like child in an adult's body. Yeah, his performance was really good.
Yeah,
I thought it's like and especially the comedic aspects of his performance, and when he's sort of revealing what an insecure guy he is, really good performance. Oh, I definitely will not knock the guy as an actor.
Why do birds suddenly appear every time you're near?
Isn't that from a song?
Well, they made it into a song.
You wrote the song?
No. But I like that song. I like it.
Will say that I really loved the quadrio of old ladies who were just like adorable. Like that whole little subplot of the sexually charged old ladies was just hilarious.
They wanted to start a colony of supermen who would have sex with older women because they said, and I quote, they really know what they're doing.
We do? It's been so long. Girls.
Very adorable, and the way he tricks them, though it didn't play out the way I thought it was, because I thought he was trying to trick them to go to her house, right?
Yeah, like
isn't that what he was doing?
I think they must have cut something, because I guess he realizes that they're going to sleep together, and he convinces the old women, you think, to go there to kind of stop it from happening, right? Like, the next morning it's just them talking about how they had sex. So it's like,
yeah, there must have been a deleted scene somewhere where the old women go and like get out of something.
Yeah, like look,
yeah. Because yeah, that was very funny. They're all like, like, oh, aliens who want to have sex with older women. That's great. Was it just a thing in the 80s where they were like, okay, this is the time for the old ladies, Golden Girls.
Yeah, I think because of the Golden Girls and stuff.
Cocoon and all the rest.
Sophie?
Yeah.
You know the old saying about a man's nose?
Oh, you mean how the size of a man's nose relates to the size of his...
And the music was terrible, just to throw that in real quick.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I actually, there was like at least 2 scenes where I was like, oh, this cheesy sax-filled 80s soundtrack is terrible.
Oh my God. I'm glad you watched it, because I know you would have never watched it ever, so it's
That's
cool.
True. That's true. I definitely would have. And so before we go, one last thing, you need to tell me and the people, how on earth did this movie become one of your childhood favorites? Was this just on HBO or something?
HBO.
Yeah, so it was just that old story, right?
Yeah, it played so much that, you know how it was. Like if you got stuck in the house, and it probably played in the winter or something when like you weren't outside most of the time, and
yeah,
you just watched that movie over and over again. And
yeah, no, I get it, because in that era, for all you folks who have only grown up in the streaming era, or even in the era of like having a billion different cable channels, right? We had the basic cable TV channels. We had PIX, which was Channel 11 and PBS. And if you were lucky, you had like HBO.
Right.
And and especially during in the daytime, there wasn't shit on the regular stations. You put HBO on. And so you saw the same movies over and over. It was like whatever was on. So that makes sense.
Like I probably saw this movie literally 100 times, not entirely through, but just, you turn it on, it started at 3, but you turned it on at 4, and I would just sit there and watch it till it was over.
I guess that means it's time now. It's time.
It's time.
We're going to the 1940s, my friend.
Oh my God.
Not only are we're going to the 1940s, and we're going to drain the color out of the screen too.
Oh boy.
We're going to go back to 1942 with the beloved classic Casablanca.
Awesome. So I'll watch it and I'll hit you back. We'll come together and discuss Casablanca. So make sure to like and subscribe and all that, but most importantly, make sure to leave some comments down below so we can have some conversations with you all about what we just watched.
Absolutely, especially, man, for both Tig and I, make some Steve Martin recommendations to us. You heard us talk about our taste on Steve Martin, so give us something that we might enjoy that is a Steve Martin picture.
And check out our Patreon at Nerd Out With Me if you want to help support us, get to see these videos early, get to get some bonus videos and whatnot. I was Tig.
I've been Eric.
Thanks for hanging out at the movie club.
Hey! Ow. Has he fallen yet?